At this point, let's get started with some of the concepts in Microsoft Word 2010. So we go to Programs and then find Microsoft Office and go and open Microsoft Word 2010. As soon as you open the program, notice that a blank document already opens up automatically, and I'll just briefly go through some of the components in the Word 2010 interface. In the very top left, we have the Quick Access toolbar. You can add more components to this and remove them, and as I'll show you in a little bit. Then we have on the very top left, we have the File menu, and this is where we have additional options. So if you click on Options, we can get to see other places where we can change the configuration of Microsoft Word 2010, such as saving other documents, where and how often to auto-save them, changing the language, advanced properties, and all that type of stuff. Then we have the Office ribbon here. The Office ribbon is a collection of these different tabs with their sub-menus, and then within each menu you have these blocks or sections that are called groupings. And within each grouping then you have the actual different commands here. In Office 2007 and 2010, it's more visual. So the idea here, and this is the concept here, is that you have the Home tab with the most commonly used commands, and then as you're improving on your document and working on your document, then you're inserting additional components to it. And to do that, then you'd go under the Insert tab, and that's where you have pretty much all the components that you can insert in the document. Then you go under the page layout, and that's the section where you modify the layout of the document. And then you are working further with the document and you want to change, for example, references, where you want to add footnotes and different types of styles for writing, and you want to do mailings, where you want to do mail merges and labels and envelopes and so on. So you can notice the progression here as you are creating and modifying a document. So that's the basic concept in using any of these Office documents. You start with the Home tab, you look as to what the options are there, and then you ask yourself as to what you want to do and utilize. By the way, the best way to learn about the program, and as we are embarking in this discovery of the concepts here in Microsoft Office, the best way to learn is by really exploring and clicking away. Nothing is going to get broken. And just explore what you can do with the features in Microsoft Word and Office and other programs in Windows or whatever computer programs that you're using. Otherwise, you could spend hours and hours and still trying to figure things out. So the best way is just explore it. So you have the Office ribbon here with the different tools, and each section of the Office ribbon here, you have also this expanding arrow. If you were to click, for example, on this one under Paragraph, it's going to give you a little window that gives you additional options that you can customize for that specific section. So if we wanted to change the indentation and so on, we could change it and from here. And this is very similar to the old way of doing things in the previous versions of Office, like prior to 2007. To show and hide the ruler, you'd click on this little icon on the top right. This will the ruler go away, and then click again on it, and that will reveal it. Then we have the scroll bar here on the right hand side, and then on the bottom right you can zoom in and out in your document. Further to the left here in the bottom, we have the different modes for viewing a document. So you have the print layout, the full screen reading, the web layout, outline, and draft. And then on the left hand side, far bottom left, we have the number of pages in the document, how many words are in the document, paragraphs, and all that type of stuff, more statistics. And then you have also tools for spell checking. And so let's go ahead and hide the ruler at this point, and we are ready to type a document. So this is, as soon as we have opened Word here at this point, we can just start typing the document. I have a document that I have just copied and pasted from before, and I'm just going to utilize that because we'll assume now we know how to create a document. And if we had to save this document, let me do that as well at this point, just as a basic concept here. you'll click on File, choose Save, and then we'll save it as a Word document. Notice that you can change and save it to other formats as well from here. So if I wanted to just save it just as a Word document, click on Save. Notice we have the Save button on the top left under the Quick Access toolbar. If I wanted to create a blank new document, I'll click on File and then choose New, and then choose Blank Document, and that will open a blank document. To reuse a document from before, I'll click on File and choose Open, and then go and find my document. Those concepts might seem too easy, but you might be already familiar with them, but I just wanted to throw them in there because if we don't understand the starting point, then we can't go probably further. So at this point I have a document here, and I want to start changing it, modifying it. So to format this and make it different, I could select it and make it bold. Notice I have all these tools here under the font, so I want to change the font, make it italics, underlined, and all that stuff. But the nice feature in Office 2010 is that I can change also the font size by just tapping on this Grow Font icon. And I can make that larger or make it smaller. And then I can change here the indentation, whether I want this centered or aligned to the right or to the left. Again, the idea here is that you want to really play with this stuff, otherwise it will go on forever here. So notice you have the different, just hold the mouse on each icon and it will tell you as to what that icon does. So let's say we have Office 2010, and the components for Office 2010 are, and let's say we want to have this in bulleted list. We just start typing, and then I choose here the bulleted list. Notice you can choose different types of bulleted lists or different types of bullets as well. You can have the square type, or you can have the numbered types. So in Office 2010 we get Microsoft Office Word and OneNote. Let's assume that we are getting the professional version of it, and we also get Microsoft Access. So this is your $500 version of it. So this is how you basically create bulleted lists. If I wanted to change those to a different type of listing, just click on the drop down here under the bulleted list. Note that one of the other features here is that you can actually select part of the text, and you can actually alphabetize the text in a certain order. So if I wanted to put this alphabetically, this list, I can simply click on the drop down here, click OK, and now everything is alphabetized correctly and accordingly. A couple of little concepts as well for selecting text. So if you need to select something and modify it, of course you need to just highlight it and then just drag the mouse over it and select it. So to make any changes to it, you'll basically just need to highlight something first and then modify it however you want it. Another feature is to double click in front of it, and that will select a whole section or a whole line. So actually clicking outside of it will select, clicking once will select a whole line or a component, and then double clicking will select the whole paragraph. So if I wanted to modify this whole paragraph, I could just double click outside of it and that'll select the whole area. One other nice feature in Office 2010, and this was also available in 2007, is when you start typing stuff and you're selecting something, notice there is a quick toolbar that appears for you to format the text as you're typing it, as you are working. So you could basically be anywhere in your document, select something, and then modify it by clicking on any of these icons. So the key here, or the helpfulness of this, is that instead of you having to reach with the mouse wherever it is in the ribbon and in the toolbars here, you have this quick editing toolbar that shows up in the context of where you are modifying the text. So in this document, let's say I wanted to see all the hidden characters and so on, you can click on this paragraph mark and that shows the other hidden formatting symbols. So this will tell us where there are spaces and where there are paragraphs and indentations. For example, if I had two spaces after a word here, notice you'll have two dots in there. So that's how you can tell where there are extra spaces in the document. To uncheck that or to unhide these hidden characters, I can just simply click on it again and then it will bring it back. And now notice how in here there's an extra space. So briefly on the Home tab, this will display you the common components as you're working with a document, such as copying and pasting, changing the formatting of the fonts, the changing of the paragraph indentation, then styles, as well as editing. For example, searching and replacing. So if I wanted to, let's say, use here the find and replace. If I wanted Microsoft Word 2010, for example, the word 2010, for some reason this changed, you can simply click on replace and choose find 2010 and replace it with 2007. Let's say you had to do that. You can click on replace, you can do it one at a time, or replace all of them all at the same time. And notice it has done 25 replacements. So now wherever in the document that has been replaced automatically. If I wanted to bring this back, of course I could probably undo it, or I could do a search and replace again and then bring it back. So for now, for the sake of it, I'm going to undo the replace all. And notice it's back to how it was. So using styles in Office 2010, at this point, if I wanted to format a certain section of the document here, I could take quite some time and make this look a certain way. So I could make this larger, make it underlined, and all that type of stuff, change the colors and so on. However, one of the nice features in Office 2010, and particularly in Word, is the use of styles. The styles can be used for formatting. So what we are doing here is we are using a pre-configured set of definition of components. For example, the font is a certain way, underlined and all that stuff, and we can apply that style throughout the document. For example, here we are going to apply a heading, or notice there's a drop down, by the way, and we want to put here a title style. Now this title style, it's a predefined style already in Word. However, you can actually go ahead and change and modify this style so you could reuse it according to your liking in the future. But let's say for now we like it the way it is. So you can go basically throughout your document and pick that title style, and it's going to apply it throughout your document. And then you can specify other styles such as heading 1, heading 2, and so on. So notice under the drop down here, under styles, we have one of the options here is heading 1. And then you basically go and reapply that throughout the document. Now there might be times where you want to create your own style of formatting. You don't like this, for example, and you want to modify it to your liking. And here's how you create a new style. So you basically select the text that you want to format in a certain way, and then you modify that to your liking, like the size, the indentation, the color, and so on. Once you have chosen, you have formatted this the way you want, then you can right click on that selected text, and then you can click on styles and then choose save selection as a new quick style. So this is another trick or another concept. In Windows, you can right click on stuff and then look as to what you want to do. So basically you ask yourself the question, what do I want to do? I'm tinkering with styles at this point, therefore I go to styles. Then once I go to styles, then you'd go and see what else is available there. So one of the options here is to save this as a new style. So this is one of the ways of doing it. The other way is to go here under the drop down under styles and choose save selection as a quick new style. So both of them do the same thing. So now here we give it a name and then click OK. Now once we created that style, notice it will show under the styles option. Now we can go elsewhere in our document and we can apply that specific style by simply selecting a section of the text and just click on the style that we just created earlier. So that's how you create a new style to your liking and apply it throughout your document. Notice the advantages here are that you're not wasting the time on redoing the same thing over and over again, plus you're not leaving elements out of this definition. Now, if for some reason you wanted to change this style, now you don't like, for example, the color here, or you don't like something about this style, instead of you having to go over the whole document and modify this over and over again and waste all that time, you can modify the style that you have applied throughout your document, and then the changes that are made to the style will be inherited throughout the document, or will be applied throughout the document. So if I right click on the style, and this is how you modify the style here, click on modify, then in here you can go and change the color. Say I want that to be blue. I can go and change the size of the text, change it so it's underlined, or let's say don't want underlined, and you can change a whole lot of other functions here as well, such as the paragraphs, the tabs, the border, the frame, and all that type of stuff. And that's why I say that the best way to learn the program is to actually click on different things and see what it can do, because we can't take the time here, otherwise the video will be forever long. So click OK, and now notice that changed style has been applied to all the instances that I already had in the document. If I want to apply it again somewhere else in the document, I can simply go and apply it again. So that's how styles work. That's how you can create a new style, how you can apply it, and how you can modify an existing style. At this point, let's assume that we are done with the basic components of our document. Let's say we have typed the document, we have applied some of the different fonts and colors and different components that we see here under the basic Home tab, along with the styles, and now we want to insert additional components. To insert any components, we'll need to click under the Insert tab, and this is where we can insert, for example, the cover page, blank pages, page breaks. We can insert tables, illustrations such as pictures, SmartArt, shapes, and charts, and we can insert hyperlinks, headers, footers, and additional components such as text and symbols. So let's go ahead here. Let's say that we wanted to insert a picture. And to insert pictures, basically you just go somewhere in your document, wherever you want to insert the picture, click on picture, and then go and browse for pictures. You could browse under your pictures folder in your computer, or you can go on the web and get a picture from the web. If you were to get a picture from the web, all you'd have to do is you would right click, choose copy image, and assuming here that we are okay with copyright stuff for images, and then you'll go under your document and right click and choose paste or Control V. Once you paste the image, then you can click on the image itself, and notice there's a new tab that opens up. Now if you double click on the image, you'll see that this new tab will give you a whole new set of icons and options. These are what they are called the contextual tools in Office 2010. These are tools that are given to you in the context of what you're doing. So in this case, we are working with a picture. Therefore, we have all these picture tools. So we can change the background, we can change the color in this picture, recolor it, and adjust it. We can change the style. And notice here we are using styles for formatting pictures and changing pictures. So you can make this a little fancier by using a different style. And you don't have to be a graphics artist to do this. So I'll just pick something that is obvious here that we changed it. And then go back here to the picture formatting. You can add effects like three-dimensional stuff And another nice component here, nice feature, is the position. This is the position, so you can tell Microsoft Word here where you want this picture, and it will place it in the top right, middle of the page on the left, or bottom right, and so on. To see this a little bit better, let me zoom it, and that's how it will display. So for now, let's say we want it in the middle left here. Zoom more into the document, and now at this point you also have what's called the text wrapping. The text wrapping is that if I move this somewhere in the document here, I can have the so that it's tight around the picture. So the text, notice the shape of my picture, it will wrap the text tightly around the picture. So that was under text wrapping, and then tight. Notice it's doing this angled texting or text here, which looks pretty decent. Then you can send the picture to the back and to the front and that type of thing as well. And then additionally, you can crop this picture. So if I click on crop, and then you'll have to drag these corner pieces. So cropping, it's basically just going to cut that picture and leave everything else out. Once you're done with the cropping, click on the crop icon, and now it's done. If I move it somewhere else, and notice you can also resize it to your liking. So in this process, I went under the Insert tab, we went to the web, copied a picture, pasted it, and adjusted its properties. The same way here you can utilize, also you can insert clipart. So to insert clipart, you'll go somewhere in your document, and let's go to a new page here, and then search, for example, for a clipart image. It will go to the web. You'll select the clipart that you want to download, click on it. Once it's downloaded, notice there's a new tab with contextual tools for pictures. We'll resize this, and then you can choose the text wrapping around it, which I'd recommend the tight text wrapping. And notice the clipart and the text aligning around the clipart. Additionally, you can insert shapes by simply clicking on shapes, pick what you want, and the difference with shapes is that you have to draw it on the screen how big you want that specific shape. So you click on it, and then notice now we have the contextual tools for the shapes, so you can apply a different style for this shape, and then you can pretty much tinker with it to your liking here. Again, the text wrapping, it's kind of important as well. I'll choose tight, and then notice that this arrow, let's say I don't want it this direction, you can choose to spin this around by simply clicking on this green button right here, green circle. At this point, let's learn how to insert a table in Microsoft Word. So to insert a table, just decode basically your own words. You click on the Insert, and then you go under Table. There are a couple ways of inserting tables. You can either select how many columns and rows by holding down the mouse on your screen, or the second way to do it is click on Insert, under Table, and then we have this Quick Tables or a spreadsheet, or by clicking on Insert Table. This will give us a dialog box. It will ask us how many columns and how many rows do we want, and other properties about it as well. So a couple ways of doing it. Notice, depending on which way you like to create it, doesn't matter really. Once the table has been inserted, notice that there are two new tabs that have been added to your program. There is a Design tab with components about designing your table, and then the Layout tab, such as the layout of the table, where you can insert new rows, new columns, how to split them, how to indent the text within the cells, how to sort them, and all that type of stuff. Notice that under the Design tab, one of the nice features here is that you can pick one of the designs automatically, and instead of you wasting time on choosing colors and all that type of stuff, you can apply an existing design from the styles for tables, depending on what your table looks like and what your favorite design is. So at this point, all you need to do is just insert the text and you're good to go. Keep in mind that if you're also calculating stuff, you might want to have the total row enabled. You can have also last column as well, and things like that. If you wanted to insert a new row, for example in this table, you can do it by either going under the Layout tab and click on Insert Row Below or Above, or always, and this is the concept that I'd like to give, is that you can right click at any point in your component, whatever you're doing, then choose Insert and then see what you can do from there. Because sometimes you may not be able to find in the next release of Office, for example, it's not going to be, this tab is not going to be there. But if you right click, that option will most likely be there, and that's how you can figure out how to do this. So that's briefly how you create tables. You'd probably say, how can I learn more about this? And the best way, again, is to really enter some text here and tinker with different components here, like with text direction, the centering of the text, where you want to align the text, and things of that nature. Sometimes in a document you might want to insert page break. The page break function basically allows you so that certain text always is on the top of a new page. For example, if I added more text in this area, this display important information section, it always ends up being kind of down in the page, further down in the page. But if I want this to be always at the beginning of a new page, what you'd insert is the page break. So if I click on page break here, notice display information will always be in the beginning of the new page. Basically, we are making sure that a certain section shows up on the top of a new page. No matter how much text we add before, it's going to show up always in a new page. Because right now, if I were to insert text in here, it will not show up in the top of a new page. If I do the control, the page break, so you click right where you want it, the page break, click on under insert page break, and then from here, as we insert more text, this always stays at the top of a new page. So that's the page break function. One of the cool tools in Office 2010 is the use of SmartArt. It is a powerful feature, and you can enable it and utilize it by going to Insert and then SmartArt. SmartArt expresses or allows us to utilize a graphic to visually communicate information. SmartArt graphics range from graphical lists to processes and diagrams to organizational charts. So for example, let's say that if we wanted to, traditionally what we'd do to define, for example, the process of continuous improvement on quality standards, we'd probably have these terms: define, analyze, solve, implement, and review. And we'll just write them down in our document. However, with Office 2010, and this was also available in 2007, you can utilize SmartArt, and you basically just click on SmartArt, and then you choose one of those diagrams from here. So in our case, probably process here or a cycle would probably work best. So we can pick any of those at this point, and then click OK. Now notice we have this option here on the left where you can type the text. So if we wanted to put those words in there, we could say define. It's the first one. And then, so basically just typing the text. We can close this, by the way, to show it and hide it. It's basically this little icon or little triangle here. And notice this is much more visual, much easier and better to use. So now, once we have the SmartArt graphic here, by the way, you could remove something, you could add something, and it gets it readjusts automatically. So if we wanted to delete one of those, it resizes automatically. or if I want to add it again, then it readjusts everything. Notice that the contextual tools again are available for this. So as soon as we click on the SmartArt, we have two tabs here. We have the Design tab and the Format tab. Under the Design tab, we can change the colors for this design, make it more colorful. You can choose different styles for this design as well by choosing one of those styles from here. And if you do not like this design, this layout, you can pick a different one from here. And notice it adjusts automatically. So this is a better visual representation. Rather than having a bunch of text on your document, you'd have a graphic to illustrate the concept, and it's more meaningful. Inserting headers and footers in your document. Sometimes as you're working with long documents and reports, you might need to have a header or a footer on each page. So here's how you insert a header. Any of the pages in your document, then you go under the Insert tab and then click on Header. So header, basically it will appear, it's content that will appear on the top of each printed page. So once you click on Header, you have a bunch of choices here. There are different templates that you can choose and utilize, or you can edit an existing header. So for now, let's click on any of these, and then you type the title of your document. You can specify additional options here as well. So notice under the header and footer, this is the contextual tools, and you can say that this is different from first page. So on the first page, there'll be some other type of header, and then different from odd and even pages. So you can specify that odd pages would have one type of header, even pages another. Then you click on Close Header Footer, and notice that on the top of every page we have the header at this point. Inserting the footer, it's the same idea. You go under Insert, then you choose Footer, you choose a type of footer that you want to specify, and then enter text or no text in there. Once you're done and you have chosen the different options, then you can click on Close Footer. Notice that under page number here, this is how you can specify where you want the page number. And then under Quick Parts, this is where you can add additional document fields such as the author or manager or date or publishing or subject, and other fields as well about the document. And it can be any type of field in here that you can specify and enter. And of course a date and time if you'd like as well. And notice at this point the header and footer has been inserted in every page in our document. Times you might need to insert a text box, and basically all you have to do is go to wherever you want to insert the text box, click on text box, and then start typing whatever you want to type in there. As you're typing your text box, notice that there is also the position here in the text wrapping. Text wrapping, if you choose tight, it will readjust the text from the other documents and put it around that text box. Under the Insert tab as well, under text box, down here, other components that you can insert here is the dropped cap. A drop cap is basically the first letter of a paragraph can be capitalized and look something like that. So you can use this for publications or newsletters or things of that nature. And finally, you can insert other objects and date and time and equations if you needed to. And under Insert here, you can additionally you can do symbols as well. Insert symbol. Now, as you are working with a document, you might want to also change the layout of the document from time to time. And here's how you change the layout. So you go under Page Layout, and here you can change the theme for the actual document, like so the colors match and all that type of stuff, and I'll demonstrate this in a little bit. You can change the margins for the document, the orientation, and the background, and paragraph formatting, and so on. So let's say we wanted to change the margins at this point, and we want to change the margins to 0.5 inches on all sides. You can either click on narrow right here and it will change it, or you can go under custom margins and specify the types of margins that you want. So let's say I want 0.5, and you apply it to all sides here, 0.5, then click OK. Notice that there is an option as well for set as default, and that means that every time you create a new document, the default margins will be 0.5 inches. Once I click OK, now the document has been changed so that the margins are at 0.5 inches. Additionally, you can change the orientation of the document. So if I have this document right here and I choose from portrait to landscape, now at this point that has been changed. The size of the paper, 8.5 by 11, you can change it to whatever other types of size that you want. And breaks, this would be the page breaks or column breaks and that type of stuff. And line numbers, you can have line numbers continuous. This would be in the case of a contract or something that you are working with where you want to refer to the actual lines in that contract. In specific documents, you can also, as part of the layout of the document, you can change add a watermark and have the document will be confidential. It will be just a watermark in the background of that specific document. Remove the watermark, that's how you change it. Sometimes you can also change the page color, and if you want the background and the document completely a different color, you can change it from here. So I'm going to remove the line numbers at this point. And then with themes, you can define specific themes so that everything flows as far as the color for each component, like the headers, the footers, the SmartArt and all that type of stuff, so that it flows in the document. So you pick a specific theme and then it's going to change the color coordination for the different components in there. So these are some of the components in formatting of the document. Now one couple other things as far as formatting actual paragraphs within that specific document. So if I select this document here and let's say that I want to make this double spaced here, to change the double spacing you can change it under the Home tab and then go under spacing right here and make it double, let's say. Then if I want to go and change the formatting for the actual paragraph, go under the page layout, and then you know how sometimes in indenting quotes of 4 characters or more, or 4 letters, 4 words or more, you need to indent it 1 inch on each side. And here's how you do that indentation. From the left you say I want to indent it 1 inch, from the right 1 inch. And at this point leave the rest alone, and that has been changed and adjusted. The other way to change this is by going under the this arrow in the bottom here, and then change it right here under indentation on the left, right, and then also you change the spacing as well. Sometimes you might want that first line to be hanging in the case of bibliography or works cited, where the first line is hanging more to the left, and this is where you change it. Under special, you could say that I want it hanging by 0.5 inches or 1 inch. So if you say, type there 1 inch, click OK. So we want that hanging, not the first line. Click OK. Now the first line is indented to the left. Of course, this would be, again, in the case of works cited. For indenting paragraphs, you just want it as normal. That's for citation. To create a table of contents in Microsoft Word, it's important to understand the use of styles. And under the styles, you'll be utilizing heading 1 style, heading 2, and any of those heading styles throughout the document. And once you have specified in the document a specific style, then the table of contents can be generated. So you cannot create the table of contents without the use of styles in your document. So the first thing to do is to go throughout our document and specify the styles. So in our case here, we're going to pick this section and we're going to label this, or we're going to apply heading number 1 style. Then we're going to go in this other section and we're going to use heading number 2. In here, we're going to use, let's say, heading number 1, heading number 1, heading number 2. Again, the organization or the application of the styles here depends on the logical arrangement and layout of your document. So you would not apply the style just like randomly. So we'll go through and apply more of those heading styles. If you want to apply heading number 3 or heading number 4 or heading number 5, notice that it does not display heading number 6 until heading number 5 has been applied somewhere. So that's another key component or key idea concept to keep in mind here. So let's assume at this point that we have gone throughout the whole document and applied the styles. Now, one other thing to keep in mind as well, that if you do not like the layout of these styles, heading 1, heading 2, you can always right click on the style here, choose modify, and then adjust it to however you'd like it to be. So let's say if I want it in red, if I want it italics, and if I want it in size 18, it will go ahead and apply it, and it should have applied it throughout our document. So now that we have applied heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, and so on styles, now we are ready to insert the table of contents. So to insert the table of contents, usually you could do it at the very top of the document or at the very end of the document. Depends on how you are preparing your report. You go under wherever in the document here, hit enter a couple times, or you could have it as a blank page, where you could go under insert and then choose blank page here, and then you'd have it right here, let's say. Now we go under references and then choose table of contents. Under table of contents, you pick one of those layouts, one of those designs. So for the sake of simplicity, we are going to click on the first one, and notice the table of contents at this point has been updated. Notice on the right hand side, it's the pages and so on. As you go to your document and apply or make changes to it, for example, this graphic was not supposed to be there, so that is under Analyze, Implement, and Review. As you go and make changes to it, then you can come back, and let's say I'm going to adjust this to be heading number 3. You go back to the table of contents so that you apply those changes, and then you go to the top of table of contents and you choose Update Table to update the new table of contents with the changes that you have made. You choose Update the entire table and it will rebuild the table from the beginning. So that's how you create a table of contents in Microsoft Word. Now, let's go ahead and insert footnotes and endnotes. So to insert, let's say I want to have in here, or somewhere in here, I want to add a footnote. You click on References and you choose Insert Footnote. Once you click on Insert Footnote, it will display right here, and unfortunately right now, because of the image here in the way, it's not very visible. But let's try it again in another location here. We click on Insert Footnote, and then you put your notes that you want to apply to this document or to this footnote. Endnotes work the same way. So if you wanted to insert endnotes, you just click on Insert Endnotes, and the endnotes, it will be a list of explanations or notes added at the very end of your document or your project. Sometimes this is used in papers. At this point, I'm going to go briefly over citations and bibliography. In Word 2010, there's a feature where you can utilize Word to keep track of your citations and generate a bibliography or a works cited page automatically. The way it works is that as you are doing research, as you're typing your paper, you can go throughout your document and you can enter your sources. And then when you're done with your report, then you can create a document or a page in the very end with all your references. You go and first pick the style that you're using. So if you're doing undergraduate work, you'll need to choose the MLA style. And then once you have picked the style, you select the text that you're going to cite, and then you click on Insert Citation. So then you click on Add Source, and then you specify as to what your source is. So if it is a website, these are the fields that you need to fill in to document and to cite this source correctly. If it is a book, you change it to book, and notice how there are different fields that you would fill in. And if it is, let's say, a journal article, notice it gives you the new set of fields. And then if it's, let's say, from a conference, how do you know how to cite an article from a conference? You'd pick this one, and it'll tell you what fields you need to fill out. There are all kinds of guidelines and ways to document the writing style for MLA, and this is a very good resource, the Purdue Online Writing Lab. It gives you all the different details on how to abbreviate, how to document and cite different resources. And the feature here in Microsoft Word is supposed to simplify, to make it a little bit easier for the researcher to be able to keep track of all the citations and so on. So in this case, let's say that this is an article from the web. You'd go under website, you'd put in the author. If you know the author's name would be usually listed on the article. So in this case, let's say that this is the article that you're citing. So the author would be Elliot Harmon and Jim Lynch. So you'd go back to Microsoft Word here, and then put in the authors. And then we add the second author, and then click OK. Name of the website or of the web page, you basically just copy the URL. The year, this is the year when the article was published. The month. Now you also need to document when you accessed it, and then click OK. So basically you're taking the details here from the article and then stating also the day when you accessed this article. So now we click OK, and this has been cited. You'd say, why would I want to do this long way like this? The reason is because the system will actually keep track of all these citations, and you can it will generate a table of contents eventually, and also it will create the works cited or bibliography page, and also it will allow you to reuse those resources if you're writing and citing the same source again. So now we go somewhere else in our document, and let's say we are going to cite this section here, and let's assume this is from another book, and then we click on Insert Citation, Add New Source, and then we're going to say this is a book. Under the book, we give the name, add the author's name, then the title, the year when it was published, city, publisher, and then click OK. So at this point we have the publishing date for Sims. Now in MLA you also need to put in the page number of that book. So put pages 55 through 57, then click OK. And that is cited correctly according to the MLA format. So again, the way that I did that was by clicking on this down arrow and choose Edit Citation, and then put the pages. Now at this point, let's assume these are the only two sources that we are going to have in our document. Then we go to the very end of our research paper, and then we add a new page here. So we go under Insert, Blank Page, or Page Break. Page Break would probably be best. and then we go under references, and then we choose bibliography, and then choose either bibliography or works cited depending on what research you are doing. Then click on works cited, and notice that the sources have been correctly cited. Now, if you were to add another source here, or another book or another something else, then you can just simply click on add source, click OK, and then if you go back to the very bottom here under works cited, and then click on update citations in bibliography, that'll add that new record to the works cited and then sort them correctly and all that type of stuff. If you wanted to manage the resources or those sources that you are citing, you click on manage sources, and these are the ones that are in this computer at this point. Those on the right hand side, those are the ones that are being used in this research paper. So that's what the advantage of using the source manager is, that you can have those stored for the future for other papers and other research projects, and you don't have to re-enter all that information all over again. So it's a great tool to use in research. It makes it somewhat easy to know and to cite those sources properly, making sure what needs to be italicized, what data needs to be entered, and all that type of stuff. Now, a couple of things before we finish here with Microsoft Word 2010. There are a couple of things under the Review tab. It's assumed at this point that we are toward the end of our research or our report that we are preparing here in Microsoft Word. And now, finally, we need to check the spelling, do some additional word selection, and then probably insert some comments and things of that nature. We need to first go under the Review tab, and then we click under Spelling and Grammar. So once we go under Spelling and Grammar, then we go and go throughout the whole document. We check the grammar, make the appropriate corrections. Once we are done with the Spelling and Grammar, then we can also use, and this is another feature that you can use very easily, use the Research option. And the Research option, it's actually pretty good that you can select a word, right click on the word, and then choose either synonyms for that word. So you'd basically be finding the appropriate word. Instead of asking somebody next to you what's another word for this, you'd simply right click on it, choose synonyms, and then select the right word here. The next thing is you could look up a word. So you can look up a word by clicking on the Research tab up here, and that'll give us a search window. And that'll pick up the thesaurus and give us the meanings of this specific word. Other tools that you can use are inserting comments, and this you can even right click on it, choose Add to Quick Access Toolbar, and if you are using this quite often, then it's always accessible from the Quick Access Toolbar here. And under Insert Comment, just pick wherever you want to insert a comment, click on it, and then insert the comments right here. So you'd go throughout the whole document. Tracking changes, it's another feature, and for this I actually have a different section of the tutorial and the video here, so we can go over that at some point next as well. And another feature is to compare two documents and find what the differences are, and then even combine them. So basically that's another useful feature that you could check out and investigate at some point. Under the View tab, this is basically for full screen reading as to how you can view the document easier. So if I click on full screen reading, that's much easier this way for proofreading and that type of stuff. Once you're in full screen here for reading, you have a bunch of options as well on the top. Then different zooming capabilities and so on, what we basically see right in the bottom here of this navigation. In this tutorial, I'm going to go over the process of creating labels using Microsoft Word. And we're going to create labels using a list from Excel. So let's assume that in Excel we have a file very similar to this. We have a file on the first row with the first name of the customer, last name, telephone number, street address, city, etc. And we have a lot of customers. So what we want to do is we want to create labels in Microsoft Word, for example Avery 5162 or any type of label out there. So the process to do that is basically we need to have the Excel file with the names, and then we need to have the word processor, in this case Microsoft Word 2010. The process is the same for Office 2007 as well. So what we need to do is go under mailings, and I always recommend that we do the mail merge by using the step-by-step mail merge wizard. So we'll click on step-by-step mail merge wizard and then go under labels. Once you're under labels, you'll click on next here on the bottom right and basically just follow these steps one after the other, this wizard. So click on start the document. So at this point we are telling the system that we are going to create labels and then we're going to start the document. Then in this next step we're going to choose the layout of this document. So since we are doing labels, we're going to be needing to click on the label options. So we'll click on the label options. And then we're going to switch from Microsoft here, the label vendor, to the vendor of our labels. So we, for example, we have Avery US letter, and this information you find it from the package of labels that you buy from the store. So in our case we're going to go to 5162. That's one of the most common ones. So we'll click OK, and at this point the next option is to select the recipients. So basically we just told the system the previous step that the type of labels that we're going to use, it's going to be the Avery 162. Now we click on select recipients, and then we're going to choose an existing list. You can also use Outlook contacts, or you can create a new list. In our case, and the easiest is to have an Excel file where on the first row you put like first name, last name, and all these labels for the fields. So now we click on browse to find the list of names, and we're going to go under documents, and here we have customer list. Under the customer list we're going to choose the tab that has the actual customers. So usually it's going to be the first one, and then on the first one these are all our customers. You can sort them, you can find duplicates and all that other type of stuff. So we go on OK, and then the next step here is to arrange the labels. This is the step that we actually go into the document that we created, and then we insert the fields. So what we do here is we click on insert field name. So we go to the first label, and then we choose insert field name, and let's say we want to put the first name, then we put a space, then we choose insert field again, and then choose last name. Then so in this case it'll be first and last name on the first line. Then on the second line we want, let's say, the street address. Then on the third line we want the city, comma, state, and then zip. If you want the first name highlighted or bold or however, then you can click on home and then just make this bold, and then all the label, the first and last names in the labels will be marked as bold. Now we go here under our label options, and for the sake of recording this is, I have to scroll down, but usually you would not have to scroll down. And then what we need to do, and this is the tricky part, instead of clicking on preview labels, we have to click on update all labels. And this is where most people get stuck and then labels don't work. So update all labels, it's the necessary step after you fill out the first label. What that does is that it populates the rest of the labels in that page in our form here. So we click on update all labels, and notice that the codes will be posted on all the different other labels. Then we preview the labels, and that will display just the names of the customers. And then final step is edit it or modify things here, but it's not really recommended. Then we click on complete the merge. This is the step that is going to link the labels that we created, or the form of the labels that we created, with that Excel file or the data. Now you could either print, and then it will print on the printer with your labels, or I would choose edit individual labels. In this case, you get to kind of preview the labels first before you actually waste the paper. So we edit individual labels, OK, and notice that our labels have been created. And all we have to do is put a stack of them in the printer and print them out. So that's it. This is how you create labels. Another feature in Microsoft Word is the use of templates. A lot of times you might have to create a publication, like a brochure or a flyer or some sort, and instead of you reinventing the wheel and spending a lot of time on the design, it's easier to just simply use one of the templates already in the system. To use one of the templates, you'd click on File, and then you'll click on New, and then in the New here you have all kinds of options that you can pick from. So in our case, let's go under Flyers, and then there are different subcategories here. So let's say we want to do an event, a marketing flyer. It goes to Microsoft's site and it gives us a listing of all of those templates. And then you'll basically simply click one of those designs and then click on Download. Once you have downloaded it, all you'll need to do is just fill in the text and change the content of it. The whole thing is designed for you, and you just press print. Maybe you could change a couple of the images or add new images and so on, but you don't have to worry about creating a complete design from scratch. So that's how you do how you use the templates and create new publications using a template. An additional component under the mailings, and an important component, is actually the mail merge. Mail merge basically is to create a form letter which you intend to print or email multiple times, sending each copy to a different recipient. You can use this even for a mission strip. You can use this for cards or for students, applicants, or customers, or things of that nature. Basically, you have one sample letter and you want to personalize it by sending it to each individual. Let's say instead of saying dear supporters, you would say, dear Bob, thank you for your gift of whatever the amount was on such and such a date for the mission strip to a specific place. And the way it works is that you have to have the form document, and then you also have to have the data file. The data file could be an Excel file, it could be nowadays also in Word 2007, it could be a table, or it could be an Access database. But suppose you have a data file called Mission Strip Donations, and very similar to this, and you have recorded the first name, last name, address, city, state, zip, and the amount that was donated. And then you have also the date and comments as to what you were able to do with that donation. You save all of this information in a spreadsheet and then close it. Once the document has been saved, now at this point you can go and create a new mail merge. To do that, you click on Mailings tab, and then you go to Start Mail Merge. And you can do different ways. However, I do recommend that you choose the step-by-step mail merge wizard. Once you choose a mail merge, you can choose whether you're going to send letters, email messages, envelopes, or you're going to prepare labels or a specific directory. Let's say we want to do letters in this case. You click on Start Document, and then you can choose either the existing document here, or you can choose one from a template or an existing document. So let's say I'll choose one from a template, and then the next thing is to pick a template. At this point, I'll choose a blank document,
And the next step is to select the recipients. So first we chose what document we are going to use. I could have used also the existing document that I had from before. Now we are going to choose the recipients. You can pick them either from Outlook, or you can have an existing list, which in our case it will be that Excel file. So I click on Browse, then I go under My Documents, and then one of the files here is a mission strip donations. Now it asks which sheet it is in that spreadsheet. In our case, it is actually sheet 1. Click OK. And now it's displaying all the different records in that spreadsheet. You can sort them, you can filter them, you can find duplicates, and you can manipulate this file additionally. Click OK for now. And then the next step is to write the letter. At this point, you could say, Dear, and then you click on Insert Merge Field. For example, first name, space, insert merge field again, last name, comma. Thank you for your donation on, and then you can put the date, have the computer put in the date, and the amount of, put a $sign, and choose the amount. And then for our missions trip to Mexico, and you could say additional text here, and notice how you can do the spelling as well. And then in another line here you could put another field called comments, and you could say sincerely. At this point, this is your form. You can format this additionally. For example, the amount here, we can make this bold so it stands out. And now we go to home here, and then we can make the comments as well. And now we go back to mailings. You can insert additional fields and so on. At this point, technically, you can actually save this file as a form, and then anytime in the future you want to run this mail merge again, you'll actually be able to just run it without having to go through all of these steps again. So I choose File, Save. Okay, next one is to preview our letters. Notice it says now the first name there. Thank you for your donation, 9/25/2008, in the amount of $25 for our mission trip to Mexico. Thank you for your generosity. That was one of my comments, and you can go and preview the letters for each specific user. You could have 1,000 letters generated this way. Next one is you can click on Complete Merge, and then you can either print them out directly to the printer, or you can preview them and see what they are going to look like. And notice at this point I have a letter for each specific user. So basically this is how the mail merge functionality works. And at this point we actually do not need to keep that merged results form. You can just utilize and go and modify the form if you have to recreate this for the future. By the way, if you want to insert also, let's say, clipart, you click on Insert, then Clipart, and then you choose Strip or Mission Strip or whatever it may need. You may need. And as soon as I click on Preview Your Letters, then complete the merge, edit each individual letter. Now each letter will have a clip art in it. So the key is to go and modify that form and then merge the document and then complete the merge again.
One other feature in Word is, and in any word processing program, is being able to create columns within a document, and the columns could be for the whole document or for a specific page. So we're going to first learn how to create columns for the whole document. So let's say this is our document, and at this point, from this point on, we want to create columns. Now this, if you're to think about it, it's something that has to do with the layout of the document. So the concept here is that try to decode your own words, and we need to figure out and go to something that has to do with the layout of the document. So you go under Page Layout, and in here we'll look around in the options for that specific function. So now here we see columns, and you can either choose automatically 2 columns, and that'll change it right away for the whole document, or we can go back and undo this, and let's say we go under columns and then choose more columns, more column options basically. And then in here we say we want 2 columns and we want a line in between, let's say, and then we want to apply this to this point forward. That means from this page, from this point wherever we click last on the document to the end of it. Then we click OK, and at this point the document has been created with columns for the rest of the document from where we clicked last. Another thing that you might want to do at some point is that let's say you want only a section of it in a column format. So to do that, you just select whatever section you want and then click on columns, more columns, then go and change it to 2 of them. And then if you want a line in between, you can do the line, and then you say it's going to apply it only to the selected text. Then you click OK, and at this point, so we select the text that we want in columns, columns, more, 2, OK, and there they are. So the text before and the text after it is regularly formatted.
In this video tutorial, I'm going to cover one of the most powerful features of Word 2010, tracking changes. Tracking changes allows users to collaborate together in editing a document. By the way, the same procedure works for Word 2007. Before we get started, if you'd like to view this video with better quality, please click on the little gear in the bottom and change the quality to 720p or HD, and then also choose to maximize the window by clicking on the square on the bottom right. So let's get started. Basically, tracking changes in Word 2010, usually this is an option that you can enable by going to Review, and then it's under this section for tracking. So here is our scenario. Suppose we have a document that we are working together, a proposal or a memo or some kind of document that a group of individuals need to work together and edit and come up with a final version of it. Using Word 2007, you can save all these changes to the document and each individual make changes to it, and then finally, or the team leader can go and confirm and accept all the changes in the document and then submit it. So here's how it's done. We go from the Home tab to the Review tab, and then Tracking Changes is under this section for tracking. The first thing that we need to do is on the drop down here under Track Changes, and then we want to change the username. So we go and set it to your name and then your initials. Additionally, if you click on Track Changes, you can go also and see the change tracking options. And basically what it's saying here is that for any insertions, there will be a color determined by the author, whoever the author is. So the way it works is basically you have multiple people working on the same document. Each will have a specific color, and then the changes will be identified. For anything inserted, it will be their color. Same thing for deletions, and then for any comments. Additionally, it's going to track formatting and other options, as you can see from this page. So we'll click OK here, and then we are going to click on Track Changes. We can go and make changes to this document. Let's say I want to make this format this differently, make that bold, and we go and add additional line. Notice it's going to be underlined, and then supposedly I want to also add here another section and call this Issues. I go also and make changes such as this sentence needs, instead of a period, we can take out the period and then change it with a lowercase d. Supposedly we don't want the extra space here, and adjust it. So basically we make all the changes throughout the document. At this point I'll go ahead and save it, and then I'll go ahead and close the document, and now I'll pretend like I'm somebody else. I will change the username to Jones. Click click OK, and at this point Mary will come in and she'll make her changes as well. So let's say Mary goes further down here and wants to highlight this section, and then let's say she wants to additionally add here another section heading and wants to make that in bold. It's hard to see probably because of the video recording and recording this on the same computer, but notice that there is a difference in the colors here between the two users, and notice as well that if you hold the mouse on it, it will tell you the date and time and who made that change. If I go here to previous areas, this was from the original author of the document. So let's say we want to change additional items here, so deletions will be with a strike through. And basically the idea is that you pass this around to all the users where they can make the changes. So the next step here is to go back and for whoever's in charge of the team to go back and accept these changes and approve them. So notice there are a couple options here. So you have final with markup, original, and you can switch between the original document here. This is what the original was. You can change it to original with markup or final markup. It's important that you never send the document in this state, even though you may choose final here, and it may seem that all the changes were applied to the document. It's very important that you do not send your document outside of your team without the next process that I will explain. Otherwise, somebody can simply click on final show markup and they can see all the comments that you have made in that specific document. Let's see how we can proceed to accept all of these changes. Let's assume that the team leader is finalizing this document, and let's assume that Hubert is the new team leader. So we click on change username, and I'm verifying that we have Hubert. We go to the beginning of the document, and then notice that there's an option for accept and move to the next, or accept the change. So if the making this bold is correct, then we click on accept and move to the next. If we want the word introduction here, then we can choose to accept and move it to the next, move to the next, or we can just reject it and move to the next. So let's say I didn't want the introduction there, it takes it out. Let's say we want the bold, click on accept, and then we have the next sentence here. It was by the author who added this. We click on accept and basically go throughout the document this way. In this case here, it was that the period and D was deleted. Click on accept. Then notice here there is needed a space. I guess we can make the change at this point and accept that change. And we basically go throughout the document and accept all these changes if they are applicable. The strike through here, it was for deleting a section of it. So if we want it to be deleted, we accept it and it's gone. All the changes have been applied to this document, and let's say that we are good to go. We click on save and then uncheck the track changes. In this case, this is finalized. However, one last thing that I'd recommend for any documents that you send out, especially out of PBU, is that you double check the documents for any personal information. And this is the way that you double check it. You click on File and then click on Prepare for Sharing. So basically what this is, if you're sending this document out, it goes and checks for personal information within the file. Click on Check for Issues, Inspect Document, and then we say yes. And then we'll check for any comments, revisions, annotations, and so on. Document properties such as personal information, XML data, headers and footers. You might want to leave them there if you have headers and footers. And then visible content and hidden other things. We inspect it. It's going to come back and it's going to tell us that there is custom XML data found. So we click on remove and then reinspect it again and close. At this point the document is ready to be sent, out, and even if you go under document properties, notice that it does not tell you who created the document and all the other details. So that's basically the procedure on tracking changes in a document. It's very clear. You go under review, turn on artifact changes, make sure your name is one of them, and make all the changes. Pass this around among all the team members, and then the team leader goes into the document and approves those changes. Again, make sure you do not send the document out without inspecting it and applying, accepting or rejecting the changes, because you don't want the users, the recipients on the other end, the public, to know what the comments were while you're preparing this document. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, and otherwise feel free to check the other or subscribe to this channel for any new videos that may become available in the next few weeks and months. Thank you.